book 2 back on Jackie's Letter Corner. I am Jackie, and I'm finally filming an update video for you guys on how my reading is going. So, we did go to my grandma's again. My mom had already gone there, and then she had to come back with my grandma's car, and she didn't want to keep my grandma's car for too long, because even though my grandma doesn't drive, my grandma wouldn't want my mom to keep the car here in another state, so she drove back, and then that evening we went up there and stayed for 2 nights and then came back here, and I had to work for 4 days in a row. So, although, I mean, I make, snarky comments about that, but it's really, I like my job. I mean, I don't love it, but it's a good job. I like the people I work with, and it's not like, and it's, not bad. It's just a little routine. It's a little, like, I don't know. I just don't, entirely love it, but I don't hate it either. But I think that's probably how a lot of people feel about their job. And then, unless they're doing a job they absolutely love, and it's their dream career. But this is a good situation for me. It's a good situation because I'm very close. So even though I don't drive, it's easy for people. It's not that far and easy for people to take me. And, so anyway, back to the reading. So I was reading Children of Doom before I left, but I decided not to bring it with me when we went to my grandma's. But I did decide yesterday that I'm done with Children of Doom. I am DNFing. I'm done with the series. The first 2 books were cool. I enjoyed it, and I will probably see the movies. If they adapt Children of Dune, I will watch it probably at some point. I mean, I don't know if I'll go to theaters to see it, because we didn't go to theaters to see the other movies. Or I should say the first part of Dune, and we haven't gone to the theater to see Dune Part 2. And I don't see my parents being interested in going to Dune Messiah if that one is adapted, and I don't like going to movies by myself, so I just wait until it comes to Max or somewhere, or on TV, on any other TV site. So, but I thought they were really cool and fun, and a fun story, and very interesting to read about Paul Atreides, and definitely a lot to think about, but I'm on Children of Dune, and it's just very confusing. A very confusing story. Lots of philosophizing, and I don't mind philosophy in books. Like, one of my favorite novels is Crime and Punishment, and there's some philosophizing in there, but it's just, like, when we were with Paul's son, Leto II, it was kind of, I hate to use the B word, but boring. And it was very confusing, all the constant, sayings and expressions, whether they are, where all the Freeman, I hope I'm saying, that's how I've been saying in Freeman in my head, all those idioms and expressions they would say to each other, and talking in, was very overwhelming. And I did not know whose side I was on. I mean, I know the Ben Gesserit is supposed to be seen as not just as tyrannical and not controlling, but, okay, so part of the premise is that, Paul and Shawnee's, I don't even know if I'm still saying her name correct, their children were pre-born, so they aged mentally in the womb, so when they are born, they are already mentally adults, but they are children. So they are incredibly smart, and have adult understandings of the world, and have adult memories. So they have all the memories of their father and their mother and their grandfather and all their ancestors, and apparently they're related to Agamemnon. And, I didn't mind the Gananima. I don't know if I'm saying her. I don't know. Unless I hear it, how it's said, I won't know how to say it. I'll just be guessing, which I think most people have that experience when it comes to fantasy or sci-fi. But I liked her. She felt almost normal, like a little bit smarter for her age, which, by the way, I think they are 9 years old physically. I think they're supposed to be 9. And they talk like they're in their 40s or 50s. And the way they talk to Lady Jessica, granted, she's still part of the Ben Gesserit, and you're not supposed to like them. They're kind of trying to take over. And they have this weird thing about incest, which is in this book. And it's like, I mean, and to me, in my, I just can't get past I cannot accept incest, even if it were part of that culture or part of that world. I have a hard time accepting that. And there is talk of that in the story, and of course they're like, and of course the excuse is, we're not in love, but this is, how it should be so that we can continue the family line. So very much how, like, back in the medieval England and Renaissance, they would marry, like, cousins and stuff like that. I'm trying to think, who was that, like, and George R. R. Martin has that in his Song of Ice and Fire series, where some of the, like, the Targaryens married into family, married their cousins and siblings and aunts and uncles and stuff, and so they include that now, but I just can't get past the way they talk down to Lady Jessica, who is their grandmother. And I know this is a different world. It's a sci-fi fantasy world. I understand that. It's like a made-up world and stuff, so they're, they have their own rules and all that. But I'm sorry, logically, I just cannot get past the way... And she's part of the supposed antagonist of the story, or one of the antagonists of the story, the Ben Gesserit, and they're witches, and they don't trust them, and some of the things that she did, some of her actions and all that, and so it's like she has to build up the trust again, but I just can't get past the way they talk down to her. Like, she's, like, so evil and all that. It's like, well, no, I think she just cares about you guys and is caught between being loyal to the group that she's part of and loving her family, her son and her grandchildren. So I almost feel bad for her. But a lot of people, of course, I was looking at people's reviews, and they were very much, they felt like she and other characters were very out of character. And I admit, I wasn't sure, but that's probably because I space out my reading of the books, the 3 books, so it's like I don't remember. And like the last, so I don't remember if she's out of character or not. I'm assuming they're right, but maybe they're not. But they probably know better than I do, because I barely remember the first 2 books, and I feel like I would maybe need to reread it, and I'm not going to be doing that because I've decided to DNF the whole series. I'm not going to even read God Emperor of Doom, which I'm glad that the silver lining of getting the mass market for $7.99 is that it was not too much, at least for a book. That I got God Emperor of Doom. I kept, like, having second thoughts and thinking, oh, I should rebuy it and buy the size that I want. And I'm glad I didn't. I didn't do it before reading Children of Doom, because, I'd feel... I mean, the only thing I feel slightly guilty about is when I donate the books, that the next person who gets the books, if they buy all of them, the God Emperor Doom will not be the same size as the other 3. So that's the only little bit, the only bad I feel. But, like, so the whole scene between certain characters, and, like, in the last chunk I read, because I got, like, 67% into, read 16% before I finally gave up. It was like, I'm bored, I'm not feeling this, It's like, the chapters are not that long, so it's like, and there were some things I found kind of interesting, like I said, I liked Ganonima, and I kind of wanted to know what was going on. Was the deal with the tigers and the Carino family, and there were certain things here that I was kind of interested in that I wanted to know more about. But like, so when they got to a part with what's going on with in the last chunk I read, the conversation was very confusing, very hard to follow. And maybe some people think I'm, some people love this book, probably think I just don't get it. Or that I'm too not smart enough. Like, which I think is very judgmental of you, and just because I don't love your favorite book does not mean I'm dumb. Even if I don't, but maybe I really don't get it. Because I'm just very confused. But I did like Dune, and then Dune Messiah. I thought those were really interesting and entertaining. I'm glad I read them. And maybe watching and hearing the conversations performed by an actor, so just me reading the words and imagining them in my head, maybe I would understand them better if I haven't seen an actor and see it all play out on screen. And I do know there's a Children of Dune miniseries. It keeps getting mentioned on the reviews and stuff that I read, so I might watch it, and that might help. It does feel like like I said, the last part did feel like it was implying that it was going it was kind of going a similar direction the first book. But it was just like Frank Herbert's ideas just got too big for the plot. And, so I finally decided to DNF, and I was feeling like I was close to getting finished, but I was just like, I'm tired, I want to read something else. So I'm DNFing that series. So the books I did bring with me and my grandma's were Winds of War by Herman Wouk. I don't know if I'm saying Wouk. I don't know if I'm... Which, you guys saw that in my, my last book haul when I went to, the roast office. And I also brought Lady Oddly Secret, which I started over with that because I was in the middle of the chapter, and I don't remember, and it's been so long, so I don't remember what I read, and I didn't get far enough along that I feel guilty about starting over and going all the way back to the beginning, like I did with The Way of Kings, where I felt like, oh, okay, let me go all the way back, the first time, and then the second time I stopped reading it. I just went ahead and watched Jay's video on, Jay from Chapter and Words. I used to know his channel name, where he did a summary of what happened, summarizing the whole plot of Way of Kings. And the Lady Oddly's Secret is a short book. So there wasn't a lot. I didn't get a chance to really read a lot because there's really no quiet time unless my mom takes my grandma to get her hair done or run errands or go to the doctor's appointment or something. Then I get the chance for quiet. It's just kind of hard to pick specific books, what books I want to focus on, and then I also want to watch YouTube videos and all that. So it's kind of hard to find the balance and time it during that brief hour or two when they leave. So when I picked up Lady Oddly Secret, there was either the TV was on, and she's one level, except they said one level just with the one bonus room, and I knew it would be questioned if I tried to go up there. My grandma would be, ask about why I'm going up there, and then she would probably be like, oh, I'll turn off the TV. Oh, if you want me to turn off the TV, then I will, but it's her house, so I feel bad about that, and I know it's part of her routine, and my mom would, even if I was willing to, my mom would tell me no, would say it's part of her routine, and we don't want her to feel like we're kicking her out of her house. Although my dad and I will still change the channel every so often, so we don't have to watch the news 24/7. So it's like, it's hard to get away from all the TV and the talking and stuff. And then the only area where there's like a place where I can have my computer, where I'm not sitting on the floor, is either the kitchen table or dining room table. And the dining room table is not fun to sit. Those chairs Just not comfortable at all. And, if you're going to sit there do some work there, you want to get a somewhat comfortable chair. And it's not comfortable. So long story short, the only, when I chose to read, I was either in the car or trying to read it, So there was a lot of talking and the TV and all that, so I didn't read, it was hard for me to concentrate. Too many distractions. So I only read a couple pages of that one, and then I tried to read before I went to sleep, I tried to read A Natural History of Dragons, which was another book that I brought with me. But that one, I only got as far as, a couple pages into the first chapter where we learn about, Lady Trent and her childhood, where she's always been interested in dragons and dragon-like creatures, but of course she's told by her mother, it's not ladylike to be interested in this, but her dad encourages it, which I feel like that trope is often in period dramas. Even in The Artful Dodger, the love interest, Belle, she wants to be a surgeon herself. She's read all the medical textbooks. She's fascinated with all that, so wants to learn about it and help people. But her mom doesn't approve of it and wants her to just get married and all that. So, and then, but her dad's, is very supportive of her, and she's his favorite. And same with in Pride and Prejudice. Elizabeth was very intelligent. She loved to read. She was very witty and clever, and she was her dad's favorite. Now she wasn't into anything like a lawyer or a medical profession or anything like that, but she was very smart and well read. But yeah, I feel like it's common in period dramas. Now, I don't know if there were really women like that. There had to be, because you have authors like Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters, who proved to be very intelligent. And there were a lot of women in history that we just don't know a lot about, because of course society had to hide that, because a woman, God forbid, she is actually proves capable of that kind of profession. But anyway, so yeah, other than that, I don't have a lot to say about A Natural History of Dragons, at least not yet, but I will get back to it soon. I also brought, one of the ones I brought that I didn't read was The Revolution of Marina M. That was kind of a spur of moment decision to bring that one. I threw it in, well, not as spur of the moment as Lady Audley's Secret. Lady Audley's Secret I chose on the day before we left, because I was able to get off work early, which I was, ironically, we still left at the same time, but that was because my dad was, in a place that was an hour away to get, had an errand an hour away, so he didn't get back until the evening. And then he had car trouble. And, so yeah, we didn't leave, so I didn't have enough time to get stuff done and to change my clothes, change out my work clothes, and so I looked at my books that I have on the floor right now, and I saw Lady Audley's Secrets, and I've been meaning to read that one, so I grabbed that one and brought it with me. So I ended up bringing, well, technically 6, but 5 physical books and 1 audiobook. So I ended up, but that one, anyway, so The Revolution of Marina M, I did not open and read any of that. I want to soon, though. But then the other 2 books was Winds of War. I read that one. That was probably the one I read the most of. That one is World War II. And when I first borrowed my grandfather's copy of the books, I ended up taking them for my own collection. They were mass markets, but at the time, it was not too long before I was kind of leaning away from World War II, because I feel like you always get the same type of stories when it comes to World War II, and it's an important war, and sadly, a lot of people died. So I understand why a lot of authors wrote about World War II, whether it's like nonfiction or fiction. But it just felt like I heard so many books that were World War II, like it's a favorite subject matter and favorite, type of story to write. But then recently, I don't know, a couple years ago, I started to realize that maybe I just am trying to look for different perspective on World War II, because when my dad went to his author event, there was a woman there who, and now he's been reading her books and he really likes them. Her name's Terry M. Brown, and she has written, and one of the book I bought from her that I decided to buy, that I was interested in, was The Enemy Like Me, which is World War II from the German perspective. We have the story is told from a German soldier. Or like, I think it's actually his son remembering what happened with his father and everything, who was, a German soldier. And now my dad has it at the moment, because like I said, I have so many of my own books to read, I haven't got to it yet, but I will soon. Of course, I say that, and it will be like a year later when I finally read it. Of course, I feel like I need to read, although because the next author event is coming up, and my dad this time has a table there to sell his own books, now I feel like I need to read the other two books. And that I got. I read two of them at least. Unfortunately, though, I did decide to donate them because they were fun, they were cool stories, I liked them and everything, but one of them was not my usual type of reading, and I almost felt a little unsatisfied by it, and that was, and the other one, I kind of prefer watching, was more urban fantasy, and I kind of prefer watching it than reading about it, but I did think the story was cool, and it did remind me a little bit of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But anyway, so I feel like, but there's Enemy Like Me, and then The Ultimate Through Hike, which is a sci-fi with hiking story. It's fiction, but it's like this person is going on this hike on a planet or something like that. And I've not read either one of those, so I need to read them, and I think I should consider reading them like soon before we go on but it's coming up fast. Only a few more weeks probably until my dad's, offer event, and I don't want to, he invited me to go to help him out. Of course, I could be working on that day, and I don't want to go, and then those authors that I bought books from, if they remember me, I might have to do a little fiblet and then tell them. I mean, it's not a fib, because I did like at least two of them, and I haven't read, and the others I just haven't read yet. I mean, I could real quickly be like, it's not not that I'm not interested, it's not I just haven't got, because I have so many of my own books to read. My other book. Anyway, so I want to get to the ultimate, at least I want to get to one of them. But, so anyway, back to Winds of War. So this one is more of a family saga during World War II. You have, I think Henry is the last name, because he is, one of those, first name is the last name kind of thing. And, you have, I think Victor is the father, the family patriarch, and he is a naval officer, and they've been living in Manila, which I was pleasantly surprised by that. I did not realize that they were in Manila. I don't know I'm assuming my grandfather knew that, because obviously he had to have read them. And it's him and his wife Rhoda, and they have 3 children, two sons and a daughter. The daughter's in high school. One son is living in Italy because he wants to study the arts, or he did. And then the other son, the oldest son, wants to follow in his father's footsteps. And his Victor's buddy is like, I'm getting stationed somewhere else, or he's like getting promotion or something. So they're like, do you want to take my job, which is in Germany? And the Rhoda, who was not too keen on the Philippines, being in Manila, she's supportive of her husband, but, she doesn't love being here. So he decides, let me take this job, and they're so they're heading to Germany. And the kids, the son that's in Italy, he has gone bored with studying art history and studying art and everything, and he meets this, he's told by one of his mentors, he's given this name of this Jewish professor. This is World War II, so you know how things went with the Jews and everything. And he meets the professor and immediately, makes a good impression. He gives him a job, and also the kid, he also starts to like the guy's daughter, Natalie, but she already has a guy she's interested in, another person who works for the professor. And this first section is called Natalie, so I'm guessing there's gonna be a lot of focus on that relationship and him, maybe the son, maybe winning over and wooing Natalie. I'm guessing, since she's the title character of that section. And then the teenage daughter, she wants to go back to New York in America and on her own, but her parents are like, no, we can't trust you. We're worried. We don't want you being on your own in New York. So they're sending her to her aunt and uncle, and she's not happy about that. So like I said, that's all I've read so far. I haven't picked it up since. I want to do that soon, though. And I know I'm saying there's a lot of things that I want to do soon, but I don't, like I said, I always have trouble making a decision in deciding what the order of things to read things in. I mean, I eventually decide, but because there's only, but I mean, there's a reason why I'm reading 3 books at the same time. I mean, I wish I could do holding 3 books at the same time. That would be a cool trick. And then the last one, which I have made progress on since then, is A History of the Philippines. Where is that book? Which I have that book to show. Also, I have Winds of War to show you as well. Here's Winds of War by Herman Wouk. I definitely am intrigued in reading more family saga stories, so I'm excited about this being a family saga. And but this is A History of the Philippines. And there's so much I don't know about the Philippines. I know a little bit. And I kind of knew about the Spanish colonization of the Philippines. And I knew that Japan tried to, go after the Philippines, and America took over the Philippines, before that. So the Philippines it has been a long time since it took a long time. I don't think it was only 80s or 90s when they finally became independent. So my grandma had to have been growing up during the time when America and Japan tried to take over the Philippines. Because she was, she was a kid of the, the 50s, so. But, it's there's, I didn't know about that they had slaves of their own. They had so many different languages. And then, of course, this year was my first time hearing about Jose Rizal. Finally said it right, Rizal. First time I heard about him. I even more want to read the sequel. Before I wanted to read just because it was the sequel, but now I'm even more interested. And now I think it will help, and I'll probably reread the first book. Touch Me Not. I'm just going to say Touch Me Not because I don't want to butcher Tagalog and, because I don't know how to say it. I mean, maybe I am saying it correctly, but I'm just going to call it, it's American, the translation, which is Touch Me Not. And so I didn't realize that but now, I have an idea of what the sequel is about. And it kind of, and I think according to what the author of this book says is that one was, the sequel's even more darker and more angry of a book. Because it dives more deep into the revolution and the rebellion of, trying to get away from, break free of the Spaniards. and fighting back against them. Of course, right after the Americans break them free from the Spaniards, America comes along and is like, now we own you. You're not free. You're going to be our pet now. And surprise, surprise, they don't benefit from the colonization of the Spaniards. I know, shocking. But anyway, there's, but I definitely feel, like I said, I'm so excited to learn more about the Philippines. I just, and learn more about the islands where my grandmother came from. And, funny enough, my grandma, when she saw she saw me reading this book, and she told me I probably will know more than she does about the Philippines. I'm sure she learned about some of the stuff in school, but probably doesn't remember. She's 86, so of course she's probably not going to remember what she learned in school, but I'm sure some of the stuff, or, well, not the stuff after the 50s, but because that was going on at the time, I think, when all, America taking over and everything. But, my dad did say that maybe I can give him a little lesson and talk about what I've learned, which makes me feel very nervous. So I'm going to have to get more thorough about taking notes and stuff so I can actually talk to my dad. I did tell him some things that I remember. Okay. So today I started reading, since I DNF'd, I was reading that one along with, Children of Doom, so I DNF'd Children of Doom, so I can now focus more on this one, on the history of the Philippines. So I read a good chunk of it, and up to the part where they talk about Jose Rizal and his history, and, when he was born, and him writing these books, and what happened to him, and how much, it got him in trouble with the church and everything. Which when Spain took over, the church basically ran things. They ran the islands. They were in charge. And that's why, the Philippines a lot of them are Catholic. So I also read the first 4 chapters of Anne of Avonlea by Ellen Montgomery, the second one to the sequel to Anne of Green Gables. So in this one, Anne is 16 now. And, she's already gone to Queen Anne, so Queen Anne College. And, she's now gonna apply to be a teacher. And there's all these new people coming into their Prince Edward Island now, and some people are not happy. Like Miss Rachel Lynn has an opinion about it, is not too happy about all these new people coming. And they have one of the homes got taken by a Mr. Harrison, and at first Anne does not make the best impression because her cow keeps going to eat the oats for his own animals. So he's mad that she can't control her cow. And finally she ends up selling the cow, although it turns out it's his cow that she accidentally sold. So she goes to apologize and everything. And as usual, she's being very dramatic about it and feels terrible and just is dreading having to apologize because he was so cranky to her. And it ends up she gets there and he's not that bad. And he's also nervous because he feels bad that he got mad at her and lost his temper, and everything works out, and he actually is like, I would love for you to come by and talk to me and have a conversation with me, because he's a very lonely man. Which I feel like that's a lot of times when you have older people, sometimes their crankiness just stems from being lonely and wanting someone to talk to. Which I think that's why a lot of the people who come to our store, because we, where we live is a retirement community, so a lot of older people come, especially on Thursdays, because that's the discount day for them. And they just really enjoy a conversation. They just want to talk to someone. And I think a lot of the old men probably, they feel young again when they talk to one of all those young cashiers, and say, all the young cashiers, and then now I'm the only girl bagger, but I will talk to them as well, and some of the, and they're very friendly with me. I mean, sometimes it's a little weird, and it's not like anything inappropriate, but it does get a little weird, and I'm like, I don't want to be nice, but because like I'm tired and I just want to get my job done, but I'm not gonna be rude either. So, but yeah, I think it is true though that sometimes these older people just want someone to talk to. Leave it to Anne to be able to fulfill that. I really like these covers. And she's also started a group on improvement of the community. And now, of course, the adults are all like, oh, a lot of people need improvement in this community. But she's like, no, I don't mean people. I just mean the buildings and, facilities and all that. That's what she wants to improve on. So I believe, now I did not know, so I guess the first book she was a kid, now she's a teenager. So that, I think this is when her and Gilbert start showing interest in each other beyond just, schoolmates. And, but yeah, this is fun. This is fun. I love how how each book is a different color, and the design of the cover. It's so pretty. And then we have so anyway, and then the other, I did start reading last night before I fell asleep. I started reading Rebecca's Tale, which is about Rebecca, the titular character that we don't meet, but we hear a lot about in the book by Daphne du Maurier. And this is her story and how she met Maxim and what happened to her, what actually happened to her, told from this, it's told from, let me see, so this guy, Colonel Julian, who's an old friend of the family, so I don't know if he's just was just a friend or someone who liked Rebecca, who became infatuated with her, like the other guy whose name I don't remember. I'm only on chapter 2 right now, where he's trying to write like kind of a memoir about the events. Or I guess it wouldn't be a memoir, but documenting what really happened in a book. And he knows, and he doesn't appreciate that all these journalists kind of stirred up trouble and exploited them, the three of them, and made them and really keep up with their own version of the story of what happened with Rebecca. Which I'm curious, is this going to be more, I'm wondering, this is probably going to be one of those where you actually kind of feel bad for Rebecca. Now, I do think a lot of people took her, were wondering, because, we only hear Maxim's side of the story. And he clearly paints her as vindictive and manipulative, and that she didn't love him and everything. Although this book implies that the Colonel does feel for Maxim and doesn't entirely put the blame on him as the newspapers did. So I'm definitely curious to see where they go with here and what spin that Sally Bowman puts on the story and the characters. I mean, the Chicago Tribune thinks it well. It says, if you read Rebecca and loved it, Bowman brings it to more colorful life. So that kind of tells you that this author is going to do a lot more with the story and expand upon it more. That's what I feel like, that blurb tells you. Yeah, now ever since I saw Murthy's video where she talks about blurbs, now I always look at them and I'm like, okay, what does this one tell you? Does this tell you anything? But yeah, I'm excited to continue with this one. I think that'll be a good historical. So that's the only one I've read so far today, and I was kind of distracted today about something else, and I will talk about that in a minute. First, I do want to pick up soon this Pocahontas and Captain John Smith, the story of Virginia Colony. So I don't know if this is going to be a fictional work or nonfiction for kids. It might be like those illustrated classics where it's just a version of the story that's a little simpler to understand. I mean, actually, I feel like it might be like a story. It also has these yellow, sketches that kind of have a yellow tint to them, which I really like because, it looks like an old book. Which I'm hoping this will not be like the Disney-fied version and make it like do the whole romance thing. I hope it will be more authentic to the original story, but told in a way that is easy for kids to understand. So I want to pick this one up as well. Okay, so what I was saying a few minutes ago was I ordered 4 books recently from Thrift Books, and only 2 of them got here. One of them is still not here. In fact, it still is in the same location it was on April 9th. And it's really aggravating, and I keep checking, so it's been very distracting. Like, I think if I don't look it up and see if it's coming, then I won't get angry all over again when it says the same thing it's been saying. But I'm so anxious to know that I keep checking, hoping it will say something different. So I'm trying not to pay attention, not to look. Always hoping every day it will be the day that it shows up. Especially because this is one of the books about, Filipino history that it's fiction, I believe, that I'm excited about. I want to read it, but it's not here yet, so I can't. And it's not a book that I'm going to find at stores, so, even if, I would have to order it, either, I'm not going to find it in stores here in North Carolina, so, but I have at least 2 of the books. 2 of the books I do have are, that's why I was going to wait so I could show you that, but I don't know when it's going to come, so I'm updating you guys now. So I got 2, half my order are these 2 books. Hood by Stephen R. Lawhead. This is kind of a more grittier, darker story of Robin Hood. And I had just finished the original Robin Hood novel, or at least the Henry Gilbert version, because there's 2 versions. But I'm gonna go read the back. First it says up top, it says Robin Hood, the legend begins anew. For centuries, the legend of Robin Hood and his band of thieves has captivated the imagination. Now the old familiar tale takes on a new life, fresh meaning in an unexpected setting. Hunted like an animal by Norman invaders, Bran Abrinshin, I don't know if I'm saying that right, heir to the throne Elfall, has abandoned his father's kingdom and fled to the Greenwood. There is a primal forest of Welsh borders. Danger surrounds him, for this woodland is a living, breathing entity with mysterious powers and secrets. Bran must find a way to make it on his own if he is to survive. Steeped in Celtic mythology and political intrigue of medieval Britain, Stephen R. Lawhead's latest work conjures up an ancient past and holds a mirror to contemporary realities. Prepare yourself for an epic tale that dares to shatter everything you thought you knew about Robin Hood. And the other one, and then I got the sequel that's coming in the second order, the second shipment. The sequel called Scarlet, and then the 3rd book is Tuck. So, I'm excited to read this. I can't wait to pick it up. Because I liked Robin Hood. I liked adaptations of Robin Hood, so I'm eager to read this new take on Robin Hood. And then the other book I got was The Last Time I Saw Mother. Okay, so Carrie Dodd's mother never writes. So when a letter arrives for her in Sydney from Manila, Carrie Dodd doesn't even recognize her mother's handwriting. There's more distance than just miles between the two women, and that is why Carrie Dodd is called home. Her mother needs to talk and to reveal a secret that has been weighing heavily on her for years. As Carrie Dodd hears at last the unspoken stories of the never forgotten tragedy of the war years, she will learn a startling truth that will change her life forever. For Carrie Dodd is not who she thinks she is. And I'm guessing this refers to. Let me see. Does it? I'm trying to think what. I wonder what. So Arlene J. Chai is the author. So I don't know if I'm assuming this is gonna be World War II related. I mean, it could be. Because I think when the Spanish took over, I don't think there was a revolution, but I don't know if there was. Yeah, so I'm guessing this is a World War II set. So the other two books, but I don't, when I get them, maybe I'll do a video, but the other two books of Vihara, which translates to traveler, and, like I said, Scarlet is the other one, and I think that one the Vihara focuses on, this sailor, this girl shows up on this sea captain's boat or something. I think, something like that. But anyway, I will probably have to tell you a lot better, or at least read the description of the plot when I get the book, which hopefully will be soon. Ideally, I would love for it to be tomorrow, like before I go back to work, and probably before we leave. Because we are going back to my grandma's again soon. So, anyway. So that is these books. And then I will show you, when I get the other ones, maybe I'll show you guys and do a video for you guys. It'll depend. If I have anything else to use in that video, then maybe I'll talk in that video. Or it might just be another update for you guys. Although, if I get the books tomorrow, then I won't have as much of an update, because I won't have a lot to say. I mean, I might wait and just show you guys in a later video when I have a lot more to say. We will see. I mean, if I get the books tomorrow. Hopefully. Anyway. I did do a Spring Has Sprung book tag, if you guys are interested in watching that one. And feel free to do that tag if you're interested. I know those tags get kind of repetitive, and they're not always interesting, because some of them are just like you're naming books that apply to the prompt. And it's not always interesting, but I kind of find that I have a soft spot for those original tags, and they're kind of fun. I mean, and it is hard to come up with a new tag that has you thinking about things and really diving deep into who you are as a reader. But anyway, if you like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't, click the bell icon to be notified about my latest videos. I would love to know what you're currently reading. Feel free to share in the comments below. And if you've read any of the books I mentioned, I'd love to know that too. Although don't tell me if you love them, or, don't talk too much about it, because I don't want to be, I want to enjoy it. I want to decide for myself, and sometimes I can't help but be influenced by BookTube and Goodreads. So anyway, I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye.